Hello, I'm MPX Toycat, and microtransactions are big business for Minecraft, raising over $1 million in the first month that they came out, and many millions since then. But how much do they actually cost you? Well, this is the price of Minecraft's most expensive Minecoin bundle, 8,800, and as you can see, on iPhone it will cost you this many. However, if you instead decide to buy on their rival platform of Android, with the same store and same store policies, it will cost you this much, and if you instead decide to whip out your Minecraft Nintendo device and use it on there, well, weirdly enough, it will cost you this much. These free platforms will all get you the same Minecoins for the same account that can be used for the same purchases that will be valid everywhere, PC, Xbox included, and so why is it that they cost such different amounts? This is the interesting question which led me down this rabbit hole, but why are people spending so close to $50 on what is a $7 video game anyway? This is the big question that I want to answer today, because Minecraft microtransactions are one of the weirdest things to bloom up out of the last decade, and today I want to dive deep into how they exist and why anyway, and let's do that today. Right after I mention a word from our sponsor, because this video is brought to you by Toycat Coins. That's right, do you like the IBX Toycat YouTube channel? Well, you can spend money on these Toycat Coins that can only be used for these exclusive gift messages, and even better, get this right, you can never convert them out of Toycat Coins, they have no monetary value, and you're specifically just losing the money. Buy Toycat Coins today, because that wasn't a very good sales pitch actually, was it? But how did Minecoins come to be?
Well, the best way to understand anything is with its history, and I did a deep dive into the history of microtransactions, but I've simplified it for the sake of speed into 5 simple parts. So for brevity, we'll start with the first one here. July 2012 is the first time that you could have an optional extra purchase with your Minecraft, and this was Skin Pack 1 on the Xbox 360. You might call this a DLC, sure, but it was just $1.99, or Microsoft points actually, but it was a very small transaction, and so nowadays you might class this as Minecraft's first microtransaction. They did release other skin packs, texture packs, and mashup packs after this point, but it wasn't until May of 2015 that Minecraft Pocket Edition, what has now become Bedrock, got its first skin pack, which was the City Folk skin pack. This cost just 99 cents or 79 pence in the UK, which was incredibly cheap by comparison, and it was after this that they decided to launch more and more, including biome settlers, and then eventually going around and releasing all of the console packs on the Pocket Edition. This was a big thing, sure, but the real revolution came in July of 2017, which is when the 1.1 update launched for Minecraft Pocket Edition and brought with it the marketplace. You see, up until this point, every single thing that was sold in Minecraft, from Skin Pack 1 to the City Folk to even the the mashup packs that had been launched, were all made by 4J or Mojang themselves. But after this point, they realized rather than having to pay staff and have costs, we could launch other people's content in the marketplace, and it might be better while also having lower costs to ourselves. Obviously, some of the money used for these purchases goes straight back into those teams, and this was something that was expanded further in the 1.2 update, better known as the Better Together, or if that doesn't ring some bells, wow, look, here's a console, it looks exactly like the Better Together trailer, right? Anyway, this was something that happened at that time period, and it was when it was expanded to include featured servers. You see, a bunch of console players joined into the Bedrock at this point, because prior to this, Xbox 360 was separate to MCPE, but after this point, 1.2 included all of those devices, and so now there are a bunch of console players who could now play servers, but in order to be playable servers on console, they had to feature Minecoin transactions and pass some of that revenue onto Mojang. This was September 2017, and it was probably the last major change until 2024, when the absolute revolution of add-ons came out. You see, add-ons were which by the way, looking at the launch chart for it, I can't believe how recently this was. Add-ons were the real revolution in allowing people to not just buy a single skin pack, which is probably what you did with skin packs, or a single texture pack, which some people would do, but not even everyone. The idea was that unlike those things, add-ons are something that lots more people wanted to buy. Everyone's seen a silly mod add-on on YouTube, but also that you would buy a bunch of these, and so with the Minecoin currency in place, with the marketplace currency in place, with add-ons in place, now microtransactions are a booming business for Minecraft, absolutely massive, and so big that they've added a button that you can buy them from inside of the game, and that button is called Browse Add-ons, because they know this is the most successful thing for someone already playing on a world. Fascinating, but important, as we talk about why is it then that if Minecraft has all of these, that they use Minecoins as the transaction. Well, the simple answer is there's no official actual need to do this. Unlike most other, like business decisions, which are very well justified publicly, the truth is Minecoins seem to exist because every mobile game does this. They have been proven to lessen the pain of purchases because you're not spending real money, you're spending little gold coins that came in chests or minecarts or an ender chest for some reason. Why would the ender chest store more than the regular chest? That doesn't make any sense. The ender chest is the same size, it just can store it across different dimensions. If you look at the amount in this regular chest and the amount in the ender chest, there's not 5 times the chest's worth of content in here, unless the gold sword is meant to be worth so much, but gold swords won't buy you anything. Like, if you go to the ideal market for a gold sword, a piglin, do you know what he's going to give you? He's going to give you literally nothing. This is a man who gives gravel as his currency, so he's not a very generous man, but he thinks that your gold sword is worth none of that, and that should tell you a lot. Anyway, the official reason for Minecoins has never been given. However, it does allow Minecraft to give you a bulk discount for buying more. This is going to come up interestingly when we talk about the different platforms, but also it has the crucial side benefit of making purchases less painful. We could call this the casino effect to be uncharitable, or we could just say it's what every other mobile game does to be fair to them, but it also has the fun side effect of having the Starbucks bank effect. I mentioned this in my recent video essay, but it means that they get your money before you spend it, and even if you never spend the Minecoins, they still have your real world money, and you've got these fictional coins that a piglin isn't excited about. I'm just saying that should give you a good indication as to why they like this. But what's interesting is the fact that, even though when you don't buy stuff, they'll make money, even if you want to buy stuff with real world money, which is a requirement in some territories, Minecraft is still stacked the deck against you, because if you want to buy this security add-on, which costs 660 Minecoins, if you want to buy it in real world money, it'll cost you £3.29, which will just buy you 680 Minecoins and leave 20 left over. Minecraft have engineered it so no matter how you buy things, some of those Minecoins go to them rather than to the creator, which I think is an interesting thing as a creator personally, but we'll come back into that more later. So Minecoins have a massive benefit to Minecraft, and so even on the one platform where Minecoins are not allowed, the PlayStation, you'll note that they have an exact Minecoin equivalent currency, which is going to be really interesting as we dive into the price differences between platforms. So I did something a little bit wild recently. I decided to find out if Minecoins were priced differently platform to platform. You see, many places that sell on iPhones as well as PC will have a cheaper price on PC where they're presumably not paying the same store fee, if at all. And so as a pro tip, if you ever are making a subscription to anything, including YouTube, don't do it on an iPhone. 30% of that money goes to Apple, and so your YouTube Premium membership will just cost you 30% more. Set up the same purchase somewhere else, even if it's the browser on your same phone, and you'll avoid that 30% surcharge. There's no reason not to do it unless you like burning money, but if you like burning money, how about checking out the IBX Toycat Collector's Edition or Founders Edition card that is going to be limited edition and signed by me, and as a result of being one of a kind and never being produced again after this point, you'll actually be able to get something that, worst case, increases in value rather than being burned in thin air. This is a soft launch, I'm just doing it in the middle of this video so that you know that it exists. I'm so incredibly excited, but back to the video. I compared the prices across all of the different platforms, and do you want to know something interesting? Unlike our IBX Toycat Founders Edition card, Minecoins cost different amounts on every platform. So I'll start with the most expensive and work our way down. I decided to launch Minecraft on my iPhone. Do you remember I bought one of those a little while back? I did return it, you'll be pleased to know, but when I launched Minecraft on my iPhone, I found fascinatingly that the most expensive Minecoin transaction, which we'll be judging this on, was £49.99. We'll US dollar convert that for you, but this is drastically more than it would cost on an Android phone. Now this is intriguing because both Android and iOS charge the same 30% fees, perhaps not to Minecraft, but certainly publicly they claim to, which is why it's so interesting that you'll pay £45.49, a 10% discount, which means if you own a cheaper phone, as most Androids are, you get a discount on your Minecoins. So, if you don't like it, if you like the idea of paying higher prices for your phone, you might also pay higher prices for your security add-ons and your Lamborghinis in Minecraft. Very strange, huh? But going even deeper, then we move on to the next tier of platforms, which is most consoles and PCs, where the max microtransaction will be 41.74. I say most consoles though, because I mentioned earlier that every console besides the PlayStation has Minecoins, and although PlayStation doesn't have Minecoins, has a currency that is functionally identical. See, part of the agreement between Microsoft and Sony was that if there was going to be a Microsoft game with a Microsoft login on a Sony platform, that you wouldn't be able to buy your Minecoins elsewhere and then spend them on the PlayStation, depriving Sony of their, 30% cut that they'd otherwise be entitled to, and so instead you can buy tokens, and what's interesting is you can buy these tokens, and yes, wow, look at this, this is how it should look. I mean, it's clearly the same image but blue, but there's free ender chests here. That is the correct way to do it, thank God, Sony. But what's interesting is the fact that this will cost you less than buying it anywhere else, meaning the same add-ons will be cheaper here, but what's confusing is presumably the same amount is going to the creator, so how is it that this is a whopping 20% cheaper than elsewhere? That's right, you, if you are watching this video and you want to buy anything on the marketplace, have just worked out how to save 20%, and that doesn't make any sense if this is meant to be a virtual currency. You can't buy dollars for 20% off by going to Louisiana rather than New York. Or, to use the counter term, just in case you're American and that confuses you, you can't buy euros for cheaper if you go to Finland than when you go to Portugal. You get the same currency in either case. So how is it that a virtual currency is 20% cheaper on one platform versus another? Even if we just use the Switch versus iOS, there's quite a drastic difference, but it gets even crazier when we start to talk about Minecoin resellers. You see, all of those prices I've just listed is if you buy Minecoins direct from Minecraft, but you can buy them from third-party sites like G2A, and I can confirm personally that buying coins on these places will give you the full benefits as if you'd bought them originally. That is to say, this £36.01 transaction will get you a full 8,800 Minecoins, but for 30% of the price. Even more confusingly, and if you like a bargain, like I have to because of the amount of Minecoins we need to go through for this channel, you can actually get Minecoins even cheaper by using this. You see, this might look like I'm holding two different versions of Minecraft in my hand, but these are both Minecraft Xbox copies. But what's interesting is they've changed the box art. This is 2023 and this is 2024. I don't know why they needed to. Honestly, I don't know why Minecraft needs to have continually changing versions on the same platforms, but what's notable is that both of these claim to have this little box here where they'll give you 3,500 Minecoins, and so if you buy one of these copies from new, you get 3,500 Minecoins, the equivalent of about £20. In other words, if you buy this game, which retails for, at time of recording, about £20, you get about £20 off coins, and then you can sell the game because you're just using the free add-on, and you can get around £12 back for it, meaning the actual cheapest way to get Minecoins is this. But actually, it gets even better. I can prove this to you via my by going into my settings right here. But if you look very closely, you'll notice something interesting, which is the fact that I bought something called Minecraft Store Item 35, and since they first sent out those codes, they've changed the value of them, and so instead of getting 3,500 Minecoins, I got 5,200. Was there Minecoin inflation? I don't know. But what I do know is the fact that, yes, this right here, this Minecraft Store Item 35 meant that I made a massive profit from buying and selling a game. I am keeping both of these copies because I like having both of the box arts. I have a collections. Do you know I like collector's versions of things? I don't know if that's ever come up. But I love collecting things, and so I'm keeping both copies of this and selling all of the other ones I got. But you can buy lots of copies of Minecraft for fairly cheap. So as a fun fact, it turns out that you actually can't buy these Minecoin copies of Minecraft anymore. It looks like I might be responsible. I'm sorry, didn't mean to do that to you all. Anyway, so if you can find these brand new at any store, then they are the cheapest way to get Minecoins. But even if you can't, why is there a 30% price difference? Great question, rhetorical me. Allow me to give you an answer here in part 3. This is a fun chapter because the entire thing could be answered by simply asking another question: what is the value of a Minecoin? Seriously, what does one Minecoin equal in real world currency? Because Minecoins don't convert to US dollars Microsoft is an American company at any reliably measurable rate. In fact, they don't convert to Swedish crowns or British pounds or euros either, and this is a feature, not a bug. You see, every platform has a fee, and the marketplace has one too, but companies increasingly don't like the idea of their fees, or indeed their prices, going up, because this slowly reduces demand. And so what is the solution? Well, we've come a long way from the 99 cents or the $1.99 DLC. Now, if you want to buy actions and stuff, it will cost you 16-ish hundred. If you want to buy a Superman map, it's 15.10. And if you want to buy, of all things, one of the most popular maps out there, Realism Craft, it's going to cost you very close to 2,000. But those are all fake currencies. Because you can't convert them to your own currency easily, it's 2,000 moon bucks as far as you're concerned, and that eases a lot of the price pressure because you can't think about how many steaks or how many cakes or how many cokes that will buy you, and as a result, people are much more pacified about it. One of the easiest things that you can do if you want to devalue or make a bunch of money is simply have a fake currency that people are already bought into. In fact, this was made even more clear when Minecoins first came out, because thankfully, because of this channel focusing so much on the Minecraft console over the years, I have footage from the very first iteration of the marketplace that was public, and you can see that back then, they specifically tried to make it very unclear how much you were getting from each bundle of Minecoins. And wait a minute here, is the Ender chest, there's 3 of them, but you can barely see the 2 in the middle there, but the Ender chests are in a different position to the minecarts. Minecraft used to agree with me that 3 Ender chests had way less than 2 minecarts, and apparently that's how things used to be. But anyway, important thing here is notice how they're not bundled as, oh yeah, 3,000 plus a bonus 300. Nope, this is just the values of Minecoins, and that's because Minecraft was just keen for you to buy in whatever bundle made the most sense based on the visuals alone, so that you couldn't really easily work out what any price was. Again, in pounds at the time, you could just about say that every Minecoin was worth about half a penny, but that price point goes away at any other bundle point, and so what is a Minecoin worth? The answer is it's very tricky to track, and that is the biggest reason why the different prices works. Having a fake currency really helps to help people be less emotionally attached to it, and if you don't believe that's true, then look at the points that you get for your credit card, or the airline miles that you get when you fly. You know, what does a mile mean? How are you using miles as a currency? Oh, I'm getting free flights because I'm having to use miles for them? This is something that is shared wildly common online, and honestly, it's popular because who doesn't want to feel like they got a good deal on something? Anyone. And so how do you make your customers feel like they're getting a good deal? Using a fake currency. Which in many other cases have been massively devalued over time, but this hasn't yet happened to Minecoins, to give them credit. So the final question is, are Minecoins ethical, and what should you do? Everything that I've said in this video so far has probably convinced you that I don't like Minecoins, and this is entirely true. The concept of microtransactions is slightly egregious to many, but the concept of microtransactions in a fake currency that you always have a balance left over of is even worse, but it does have to be said that there is a positive side to this. For every decision that is made, there is a support that is given to small creators. Take, for example, Nox Crew. They started making maps over a decade ago on the Java edition, likely bringing in very little revenue, but thanks to the marketplace and Minecoins, they've grown from being a very small team to now having 15 staff. There are many marketplace teams that are exactly the same, growing from a single person to being dozens of employees having dozens of projects, and this is a really cool ecosystem that you can support, even if it does involve some of the risky things that we've just mentioned, or the grey decisions we could call them. And so whether you agree with everything that Minecoins represent is a different question to whether you think the system is a net good. Do the ends justify the means? That is an interesting question. And the other interesting question is, well, what should you do? Well, I know for some number of people, the answer is don't buy Minecoins. This is an entirely respectable position. If you don't agree with the system, make it clear that you don't, and either get the marketplace hider button, or even just go ahead and say, I'm never going to buy something from there. Obviously, that is a principled stand to take, but I think that for many, buying the Minecoins or getting the add-ons is worth doing, even if they don't necessarily love the system. If you don't believe that that's true, look at how many people have Netflix subscriptions and then complain when the price goes up rather than say cancelling. There are many people who dislike how systems work but still contribute to them, and so what should you do if you are one of those people for Minecoins? Well, the simple answer is buy on your Switch, Xbox, or PC. If you are going to buy content immediately, then you should buy on your PlayStation, but the actual best way to do it is via third-party websites. I've seen nothing, there has never been a public statement by any team that there is any difference in the end price that is given, but there is a difference in the price that you will personally pay, and so if you buy it via either a third-party website or via your Nintendo Switch, you can save yourself up to 20%, and it seems as though that has no impact on that same support that you're doing in the end. I can't personally talk to the marketplace and how that works, and if I could, it would be under NDA, but what I can personally say is the fact that under YouTube, if you buy YouTube Premium on Apple, it costs you 30% more than if you buy it anywhere else, but it's not like that 30% goes to us creators or even to Google, it just goes right into Apple's pockets, and I imagine that Minecoins are exactly the same, and so this video is really just a giant PSA that Minecoins exist. They have a bunch of problems, and if you want to avoid some of those problems and keep some of your hard-earned money for yourself, then buy them on the PlayStation, or ideally on a weird, dodgy website, or if you don't like that, buy them on your Switch, Xbox, or PC. Oh, and if you are buying coins anyway, maybe instead you'd like to buy something shiny that's actually permanent, like the IBX Toycat Collector's Edition card. I have wanted to make one of these for so long. The idea of having like a piece of permanent collector memorabilia is so incredible to me, and you can get one of these, you can pre-order it, one of the very limited numbers that will exist, because everyone will be hand-signed by me. That's for real, by the way. There's a really complicated logistical process, but every one of these cards will be signed, every single one of them will be numbered, and every single one of them will be in these delightful slabs to preserve for as long as you'd like to. Honestly, I've been too excited about, as I mentioned, to make this video. Every 5 minutes I'm like, I feel like I should mention it. People might care, because I care a lot. I'm excited, and if you're not, then I hope you'll enjoy this video, but go check it out anyway. Even if you just click the link, it would make me feel slightly better about myself, and they would think that I'm really cool and will agree to make the product and work with me and all the other things that I'm excited about. I love collectibles, I love making games, and it seems as though this is our opportunity to do precisely that. With that said, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.